Hey there, fellas. Right, today's the day we... Not to say that we're looking to torture this thing right here, but we do have a fun experiment in mind. Check out what I've got here. A large fitting and a nut. What's interesting is that this fitting is almost a perfect match for... It's as if Ladas were developed with this sort of imperial stuff in mind. It's just the right size. Do you guys see where I'm going with this yet? You guessed it. We watched a bunch of videos, read plenty of material, associated with Formula 1 and all that other good stuff, and now we're gonna try to modify this Lada so that we can attach the wheel using a single central lug nut. I'm very curious to find out what'll happen with this sort of setup. These are gonna have to be tightened down using tons of force. Whether we can make it work or not, I'm not quite sure yet. But I say we give it a try, just for shits and giggles. Let's do this. Formula 1 style single lug nut conversion. Translation and voiceover by BMI Russian.
My heart beat super fast.
What does love feel like? What does love feel like? You're the best I ever had. You're the best.
Okay, check out what we've got here. In my opinion, this looks pretty cool. We've welded on those fittings, and on each side we've got central lug nuts securing the wheels. We've also got some guide pins. This might not be a necessary measure for the front wheels, since they aren't driven on this car. But in any case, under braking there is some considerable rotational force exerted on the wheel. As for the rear, those wheels are driven, so the guides are an absolute must. What else we got? Oh right, here's the socket we use to fasten the lug nuts. This one right here is a 75mm. This one we already had in our toolkit. Fits beautifully. It's all good. Though we did have to fabricate a second one out of an angle. It works with an impact wrench and suits the diameter of those lug nuts. There is one more thing we have to do here. We are not breaking any records, of course, but I think we should try lifting one side of the car, replacing the wheels, and see how long it takes to do an F1 style tire swap. Here's how we'll be swapping the wheels. We basically relocate the fronts to the rear axle and vice versa. It's just that we don't have any spare Lada wheels lying around. Go ahead, man. Great job. What's up? What happened over there? These are different size. Looks like we screwed this up. I was able to fit mine, though. The car is good to go. Right, fellas, we just had a minor setback. The hubs on either axle aren't the same size, as it turns out. We've got drums in the back and a hub in the front. So that sleeve we welded onto the brake rotor, it turns out that in the rear, that sleeve is a bit shorter than the one we have up front, meaning we can't tighten down the rear wheel when attaching it to the front axle. Meanwhile, when we install the front wheel in the back, that sleeve just isn't long enough. There's not enough thread peeking out for us to screw that lug nut onto. We're gonna have to try something different. So first we unscrew the wheels, roll them back and forth, then do that a second time, and we reattach them in the same places they were before. The basic principle remains pretty much the same. Whoa, aren't you in a hurry? You take this one. Why can't I screw it on? Go! Fantastic. Now we check on the results. How long did that take? Why did you wait until now to stop the clock? For us, this is a pretty decent result. Since we didn't have any practice beforehand, we're even using DIY sockets. It's the same story with the lug nuts. We've welded on some waterworks fittings, but those were cut using an angle grinder. And despite the fact that we did grind down the edges, screwing those lug nuts on isn't as easy as it might seem. Especially when you're in a hurry. Your hands start shaking, which makes it even more difficult. We still got a solid result regardless. Right, so for the sake of a fair comparison, to see whether using a single central lug nut will save us any time over 4 standard bolts, we've installed a steely in the back using 4 traditional bolts, while attaching a simple sort of alloy wheel up front in the same manner. Now it's a matter of, we won't be rolling the wheels back and forth twice this time. I'll pass the alloy rim over to the back, they'll give me the steely, and we fasten them using all 4 standard bolts. We'll obviously clock the entire process to see how long it takes. You guys ready? Let's do this. Whenever you're ready. Oh, for crying out loud. Oh right, I also need to hand over these bolts. For that alloy. I totally dropped the ball. I'm done. How long was that? It didn't take that much longer. It's just that one of the bolts fell out. You know what? If we were to practice for a week, 3 seconds? Don't think so. It'll take 3 seconds just to lift the car. And only if we use this air jack. A regular hydraulic one won't do it. Too much pumping involved. So where does this leave us? I'd say that in any case, the single lug nut does save you some time. Right, time to remove the wheels again. And after that we reinstall those single lug nut rims. And go outside. There is, of course, an off chance that a wheel might come undone, and I wouldn't want it to turn into a projectile. Right, let's swap the wheels and move out. Okay, will these lug nuts come undone? To find out, we first put some pressure on them, then we ease the pressure to kind of move them back and forth. That might loosen them up. However, we do still have those guide pins installed. We decided not to remove them. And they should neutralize that effect. Okay, so right now the wheels are spinning and we're not going anywhere. Seriously? I've dug myself into the snow? Did I really just do that? For God's sake. Okay then. If these nuts had a sort of tendency to loosen up, then this is how I'd imagine it would happen. First the wheels load up, you've got movement on the lug nut, and once the pressure is relieved, it moves again. And after a bit of back and forth, the lug nut should, in theory, at least I think that's how it might come loose. That's how it usually works. Slack is what makes them come undone. Come on! I've released the brake pedal. Come on now. Not having it. Okay. Maybe this will work. Let's see what happens when we throw a bit of impact force into the mix. I'll just keep dropping the clutch. As soon as we get back, I'll take a look to see what's going on back there. I should say that we weren't really paying attention. It could very well turn out that you need different thread for either side. Hit us up if you know how this works. To be honest, I really have no idea. As for us, we've got right-hand thread on both sides, meaning that the nuts could start to come loose on one side. Okay, after a short drive around our garage complex, even after a bit of sideways action, none of the nuts on either side came loose. They're fastened on nice and tight. There's no play in any of the wheels, so yeah, this actually works. And it's an easy DIY mod, though I wouldn't recommend doing it. Seriously, don't go there. That said, this experiment has been a massive success. We made it happen, and hopefully you had fun watching. And that's all I have for you. Watch us, subscribe, send in a few suggestions, give us a big thumbs up. Alright, catch you later.